Work, work, let's work. Work, 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 let's work. Work, 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 let's work.
What's up, Big Dawg? This is Coach Roll at 5-Star Lineman Academy. And we here in the lab with another episode of Big Dawg Trench Talk. Don't forget to visit us at www.bigdogfootball.com, where we house the best D-line content in the world.
Let's work. Work. Work.
Episode number 14.
Work. Let's
Football taught me how to fight. Coaches, I highly recommend you play this for your big dog, or you recommend them to listen to this podcast. Because sometimes our big dogs forget that even though we coaches, we was once players too. But I remember those days, big dog, where I was in my locker listening to my music, telling myself, hey, big dog, it's game day. Today is the day that we go out and play. All the work we put in all week has got to show up today. I've been putting deposits all week, but today is payday. Today is game day. Time to go reap what I've sown. Big dog, let me tell you, I appreciate football so much, man. And it's not necessarily because of the wins or the losses. It's not because of the good times or the bad. I appreciate football because football taught me how to fight. My father wasn't the only one who raised me, but football taught me. After a while, you get tired of choosing flight. You get tired of running away. But football is right there, big dog, teaching you that it's about time to fight. Win or loss, big dog, that next play is coming. And you don't have too much time to wonder what you're going to do next. Football taught you that you had seconds to make up your mind, to put your hands in the dirt and fight. I appreciate football for teaching me how to fight. Now, when I say fight, I mean the acronym FIGHT. I'm saying F.I.G.H.T, fight. The F in fight for me is fearless. Fearlessness became a faith for me that propelled me forward. I had to make a decision that eventually fear meant to face everything and rise. The I in fight for me is intervention. Intervention was the choice I made to take action until I saw change happen. Attitude always before arsenal. The G in fight for me is growth. You'll know that something is dead when it stops growing, when it stops producing. I chose to stop allowing things to hold me back, and I chose to break the mold. Big dog, I'm not done. H for me in fight is happiness. When I say happiness, I'm not just referring to the adjective or the word that describes an emotional state. I'm talking about happiness, the verb. Because in order for you to be happy, you have to make something happen. Happiness comes because of what's happening. I realized that happiness was a verb. It was an action word. And no longer was somebody else responsible for my happiness. If I wanted to be happy, then it was my job to make something happen. And when I finally realized that happiness was an action word, happiness fueled my confidence. The T in fight, big dog, is time. T is the last letter in fight because time is the last thing you need that could guarantee you win this fight. You see, men try and get time to wait, but a dog doesn't waste time. Oh yeah, big dog. It's time. It's time to fight. Football taught me how to fight. Let me talk to you, big dog. I feel blessed and fortunate to say that my daughter is 10. I get a chance to say that today she's 10 years old. On the morning of October 2007 was one of the scariest moments for me in my life. The things that took place this day actually changed my life. On that morning, in the cold month of October, we found ourselves in the hospital. My wife had woken me up out of my sleep that morning. She was scared. She was afraid. She was 6 months pregnant, and she started spotting. She was bleeding, and she wasn't sure why. Our child, our daughter, wasn't moving. So she was afraid that there was a possibility that she had a miscarriage. So there we were, big dog. Me and my wife in the hospital, afraid for our child's life. Finally, we were seen by a doctor. The doctor checked my wife to make sure everything was okay, and honestly, everything wasn't okay. My wife bled more heavily. Blood was all over the hospital floor, and the doctor looked at both of us and said, "We got to get you to another room immediately." The doctor looked back at me, and in his eyes was fear and uncertainty. He took off his bloody gloves and said, "We have to get your wife to another room to check for your child's heartbeat." Big dog, it was cold. The morning was real cold. And I remember my wife looking at me saying, "Babe, I think we lost the baby." And I remember looking back at her, telling her, "No, we didn't. Everything's okay. The baby's fine." And on the inside, big dog, I was wrestling with that. What came out of my mouth was pure faith. But what was in my heart was pure fear. So here we were in the hospital room. And they were taking my wife's vitals and making sure that she was okay. Immediately after that, the nurse checked my wife in hopes to hear my child's heartbeat. And when they checked for my child's heartbeat, this is what we heard. Silence. Pure silence. It was the scariest sound, big dog, I had ever heard. I didn't know how scary silence could be. The nurse started to the left side of my wife's belly button, and from there moved all around my wife's stomach, and all we heard was silence. Big dog, this happened 3 times. 3 different nurses came in our room. They all started to the left side of my wife's belly button. All of them desperately tried to find my daughter's heartbeat. And all 3 nurses were unsuccessful. All we heard was silence. The last nurse that came in told us, "Mr. Rowe, Mrs. Rowe, we need to prepare you for a stillborn delivery." Now, big dog, I was young. I had no idea what stillborn delivery meant. I know it didn't sound good. It didn't sit right with me when the nurse said stillborn delivery. But I did know that 3 nurses came in our room and tried to find a heartbeat. So my guess was that they were trying to tell me and my wife that my wife had a miscarriage and that she was going to have to go in another room and give birth to a dead child. I understood, big dog. I understood what they were saying. The blood on the floor, the 3 nurses that had came in and couldn't find a heartbeat. The baby still was not moving. My mind completely understood what the nurse was trying to say. that our child was gone. But my spirit did not want to accept what they were saying. Big Dog, something in me just wouldn't let it go. And it was right there at that moment that everything changed for me. I didn't care anymore how afraid I was. I didn't care about what I was feeling. I didn't care about all the proof that was telling me otherwise. The only thing I can hear my spirit say is, Big Dog, you better fight. That's one thing you know how to do, is fight. All your life, Big Dog, you had to fight. You fought when they told you you couldn't. You fought when they told you you wouldn't. You fought when they told you you was too short. You fought when that guy across from you was bigger than you. You fought when that guy across from you was stronger than you. You fought every time they crackbacked you. You fought every time they cheap shot you. Every time you got knocked back down, you got up and fought. That's the one thing, Big Dog, you know how to do, is fight. And Big Dog, that's all I could do. That's all I knew to do. In that hospital room was fight. So what did I do? I told the nurse, I said, nurse, before you move us into another room to have this stillborn delivery, let me step away for a second and I'll be right back. I looked at my wife and I told my wife, I said, sweetheart, I'm going to the bathroom. I don't want to leave you, but there's something I got to do. I'll be right back. Big Dog, I wasn't going to the bathroom to use the bathroom. I'll tell you that right now. I was going in that bathroom to fight. What was I fighting for? I wasn't fighting for myself. I was fighting for my wife. I was fighting for my child. This was my firstborn child. And now that my child is here, my wife is 6 months pregnant. You telling me I can't have my child? I was going to fight. So I went in that bathroom, Big Dog, and I closed that bathroom. I locked it behind me. And Big Dog, I went to fighting spiritually. I ain't gonna lie to you, Big Dog. I started praying. And I looked right up to the Lord. And I said, hey, I don't know what you got to do up there, Big Dog, but there's one thing for sure. When I walk out of this hospital room, I want my wife and my daughter alive. I need both of them going back home with me tonight. Big Dog, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Yes, I was calling the Lord Big Dog. I was fighting, man. I was fighting for what I wanted. I had been denied several times before. The game had taught me that there are going to be times in your life that you are denied. But that don't mean you settle for it. And I remembered those lessons that I learned in the game. And I was in that bathroom fighting. Big Dog, I know you hear me up there, man. I said I need my wife and my 6 months daughter alive today. I want them going home with me, both of them alive. Do what you got to do, Big Dog. But I need you to make that happen for me. And whatever you need me to do, I'm doing. And I was in that bathroom, Big Dog, fighting. But see, this was a different kind of fight. But to me, it felt like the same thing. Felt like I was getting double teamed. Felt like I had to get low. Felt like I had to change shape. I felt like I had to use my hands on this plate. I had to put my hands together and pray, man. And there I was in that bathroom, doing what I was taught to do. And I was fighting. So I wiped my face, broke my huddle, unlocked the bathroom door, and I went back to that hospital room. Ma'am, before you take us into the next room, can you please get one more nurse to come down here and check my wife? I would really appreciate if you brought another nurse down here to check one more time. Now the nurse looked at me and said, sir, I hope you understand that we've checked 3 times already and we didn't hear anything. It was almost as if she was saying, sir, I think you're in denial and it's totally understandable, but we've done all that we could do. And the way that I looked at her, my eyes said, I know that you did all that you can do, but you don't know what I just did. So out of my mouth, I said, ma'am, I understand, but if it's okay with you, I would really appreciate if you brought one more nurse. down here to check one more time. "45 minutes later, another nurse came into our room. She came into the room. She took the ultrasound machine, rubbed a little cream as the other nurses had done. Nothing different than what any of the other nurses did. Turned the machine on, and she started on the left side of my wife's belly button. And as she began to move the ultrasound machine around to check for a heartbeat, this is what we heard. You hear that, big dog? You know what that's called? That's called life. And as long as you have life, you got fight. As long as you hear that, you got fight in you. As long as you feel that, there's war in your arteries and fight in your veins. It was the most beautiful sound I had heard in a long time. A sound that I took for granted until then. You'll never know what it means to fight until you finally love something more than you love yourself. That morning at 6:45 a.m., I walked out of that hospital with my wife and my daughter alive. And at 7:15, I got dressed, packed my bags, buckled up, because it was time to go to work.
Let's work.
She's 10, big dog. I get a chance to say she's 10. My daughter was born February 2008. I could have said that she would have been 10. But because I fought for her, I get a chance to say that she is 10. But big dog, what's my point? How many things have you lost because you chose not to fight? Because you were afraid of failure? Because you were afraid of falling? You were afraid that if you lose, you will be a loser. And maybe you're afraid that if you fail, you'll be a failure. Man, if you a dog, those things don't define who you are. But instead, they're shaping you to be the person that you are supposed to be. I want you to take a key, big dog, and I want you to look at it. Grab a key and put that key in your hand and take a look at that key. Every key is designed differently. Every single key has an up and a down, a rise and a fall. The ups and the downs on that key gives it a specific cut. And there's a reason for that, big dog. There's a reason why that key has a specific cut. But I want you to look at that key and understand this. There will be some rises and falls in your life. There will be some ups and downs. You will fall sometimes, but hopefully the dog in you will fight to get back up. The awesome thing about that key has access to a specific door. That key was designed specifically to give you access through a specific door. You are that key, big dog. The things that you have gone through has given you a specific cut. The ups and the downs, the flat areas in your life, the things that you have experienced has given you, big dog, specifically a special cut. And that special cut, the things that you've experienced in your life, that has given you that special cut, is going to grant you access through a specific door. Not his door, not their door. Big dog, you're supposed to walk through your door. Big dog, you're not losing. I'm telling you, you're not failing. It's all part of the plan. There's nothing better, big dog, than to stick your key in a lock and it opens the door. And at that point, you realize that everything you went through gave you the specific cut you needed to get through that door. It was all part of the plan. It didn't feel like it at the time. You felt like you was losing. But when you got to your door, when you got to your destination, when you decided to keep going and not give up, at that moment you realized everything I went through was for a reason. And now here you are, walking through your door. You're at your destiny, big dog, because you chose not to give up. You chose to fight. That's all you know how to do, big dog. As a matter of fact, that's all you have to do is fight. You hear that? That's called life. And as long as you feel that, you got fight in you. You got a game today, big dog. It's game day. And that guy across from you has no idea the fight you get ready to bring. You know why I say that, big dog? Because your fight is greater than his. Your fight is bigger than his. What you fighting for, you can't lose. Failure is not an option. It's game time, big dog, and it's time to go to work. It's not time to watch the game, and it's sure enough ain't time to overthink the game. It's time to play the game. Trust yourself. Trust the dog in you. The dog you've been training all week. The dog that's been working on his technique. Trust that dog. Trust that fight in that dog. You know what they say, big dog. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. All right, big dog. You up. It's your turn, big dog. It's your turn to fight. When it's all said and done, after 4 quarters, be proud. Be proud of yourself no matter what. Walk off the field knowing that you played like a dog. That you played like a DAWG. Driven attitude that wills greatness. Greatness will come, big dog, as long as you fight. As you choose to keep fighting. Football taught me how to fight. Let it teach you, big dog. Let's go. Hey, big dog. You know what time it is, man. It's game time. It's time to strap up. It's time to link up. Man, go put your hands in the dirt and let's go to work.
Ready?